The key to a standalone dungeon is an iconic interaction or idea that we can sort of hang our hat on. And today I want to create an adventure that is a wizard's tower, standalone tower dungeon adventure, with a unique idea with you in chat, and so that it can become this kind of exciting adventure that we can add to our ongoing starter adventure for Atraxia, our level 1 to 3 sort of hex crawl adventure, Crown of the Fungal Queen. Welcome to Mystic Arts. My name is Daði. I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for over a decade. Fumbled the mic there at the start for a bit, but, we got there in the end, and that's what's important. Also, for some reason, my Stream Deck isn't working as intended, but, that's just what it is. I don't think we're ever actually going to get to a point where I know how to stream. Hey everybody, lots of new people in chat. If you're watching the VOD right now, I'll put a little thing for when we actually start prepping, but in between now and then, I'm going to do some channel updates and catch everybody up on what is going on here at Mystic Arts. It's been a while since we did a prep stream. Hi everybody. So, I have this thing coming up. I don't know if I have a button for it. I don't think so. Every May, since we started the channel, which currently includes 1 May, we do this thing called Dungeon Mayhem, named by one of our channel viewers. And the idea is that we do a bunch of videos all about dungeons in May, and we're probably going to do some live streams about dungeons and stuff like that. And that's all keying up to a creator event, like a Dungeon Tuber event, on the last week in May called Dungeon Jam, where all your favorite creators get together and they make each 5-room dungeons or something akin to a 5-room dungeon, and they make a video about it, and then you, the viewer, get to take those dungeons and put them in your game. And I like the idea of this being a kind of, like when you go to the vinyl store and you can go flip through the vinyls to find a cover that you like and pull it out and run it. And I mentioned this in our Dungeon Turns video, I think, that if you were a creator, you could send me an email. You can go to our website and find an email there. And if you were a creator and you had at least 5 videos on your channel, you'd get added to a creator Discord, and we'd all get together and make dungeons together. And I got a lot of emails from folks who are not creators, but wanted to take part somehow. And I've been really racking my brain on how best to do that, and we came up with the idea of doing a contest. I think that's the best way to refer to it. The Dungeon Mayhem contest. So if you're a designer and or a DM or someone who wants to become a designer and you want to take part in Dungeon Mayhem, there is a way you can do that, because we here in chat for the last couple of months now, we've been making a starter adventure with a hex map with something like 15 dungeons on the map and then other 15 points of interest. And what I want to do is, a part of the sort of Patreon that we're running, is take those all together, and instead of doing a broadsheet in May, do a starter adventure full of dungeons that people can run. And there's going to be one of those dungeons is going to be free and as a part of the Dungeon Jam video, and we're going to give that away. But then if you want the full Hexploration hex crawl adventure written by us here at Mystic Arts, it's going to be on Patreon. But if you're a creator or a designer or somebody who wants to get into designing, we're going to run a little contest. And here's how it's going to work. Let me know if this makes sense to everybody. To take part, you've got to submit to us a dungeon that can fit into our Crown of the Fungal Queen starter adventure. Basically, if you're watching this and you haven't watched the rest of the streams, don't worry. This just means that it's a standalone 5-room dungeon, and it's set in a sort of Lewis and Clark style fantasy, of flintlock fantasy. There are guns and stuff, but your dungeon doesn't have to include any of that. You can just make a cool dungeon. It's got to be fit for 1st to 3rd level characters, and your submission must include a map of some kind. You could literally do it in MS Paint and just sort of show us kind of a scribble of what you're thinking about. Text that is no more than 650 words, 650 words, that gets the idea across. If it's much shorter than that, we'll have to do a bunch of adding on our own end so that it fits into a nice letter-sized spread. And then it's got to have something in it that makes it unique, makes it exciting, good to bite into. And we're going to get into how to do that in this live stream. How me and you, we're going to make something that makes the 5-room dungeon feel special and unique. And the way we're going to do this is, I have a bunch of dungeons on this map that I have ideas about, and I have some dungeons that we have made here together that we know stuff about. But there are also 5 dungeons that I don't know what's in. And I am hoping to get some ideas from the contest creators. Let's see, I'm going to show you a map here so you know what we're talking about. Glorp. There we go, here's the map, rudimentary map, it'll get finished eventually. And it's got these sort of abandoned mine up here, library, grim root, brewing cabin, and Naiad's Rest, and they all are sort of on the border between the forest and the hills, the forest and the swamps, and I don't know what's in there. So if you want, here's my notes for this dungeon contest that I'm reading, don't worry about that. If you want, pick one of those dungeons, write no more than 650 words, and scribble some kind of map, and once that's done, you can submit it to us at this link. I hope that works. You should be able to click that. And whoever makes the best dungeon for each category gets some prizes. First off, there's going to be, you're going to get a year of Mystic Expert on Patreon. So that's a whole year's worth of our highest Patreon tier. You're going to get an hour-long meeting with me if you want to. If you're not interested, that's fine. And you can talk to me about DMing and game design, feedback, YouTube advice, whatever I can help you with. Up to you. And we are, for the dungeon, we're going to commission both a map, or probably more likely, I'm going to make one, unless your map is like spectacular, then we'll be using yours. But otherwise, I'll go into Incarnate and make one. And we're going to commission a piece of art from our in-house artist, and we're going to stick all of that into our dungeon. And it's going to be our dungeon. That's important. Because when it's done, you will own all the rights to the dungeon. You're going to give us instead a perpetual license to use it in Mystic Arts products. But you will own the dungeon. Any editing we do, stat blocks we create, magic items, anything we add on to the dungeon, you will also own. Same for the art that we're going to do and the map that we're going to do. It's going to be yours, but you're going to allow us to use it so that we can use it for our dungeon. And of course, when it's done, there will be a video on the Mystic Arts channel, and we'll go through all of the winning submissions, and you're going to get a shout out of your choice in an upcoming video. So if you want to plug some design you're doing, or your channel, or whatever it is, that'll all be in that video. So it's a year of Mystic Adepts, 1 hour meeting. We'll commission art and a map that you can use, and you'll be credited and shouted out. And if that doesn't sound interesting to you, that's fine. We got a whole bunch of other stuff going on in this stream, but I really like the idea that for those folks in particular who've been emailing me and asking to take part, here is a way that we can make that work. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm just going to say hi, everybody, sort of instinctually. Tyler Harrell, I just recommended Blackguard for a friend who needed a city for Friday and had nothing ready. Hell yeah. Do you know which adventure they're going to run? Or are they going to make something up? Dungeon Jam is coming back. Yeah. We're going to do one in May. Lots of folks, lots of creators you'd recognize are already working on their dungeons. It's going to be great. Sir Circadiz found you off the Sahuagin video. Wow. I'm glad I helped. Technical difficulties are required for streams. That's true. That is factually accurate. Hello, Finland. Does it need to be for 5e or can it be system agnostic? We need to be able to make it work for 5e. If your dungeon doesn't use 5e, the Dillhorn Crown of the Fungal Queen adventure will need to include some 5e language. So if there are monsters or whatever, we'll probably make sure that they work with 5th edition. 7-room dungeon. 5-room dungeon is a state of mind. It's not an accurate metric to the number of rooms. Pseudo TPK. Well, I'm happy you enjoy the channel. Dungeon submission due date. Yes. Hang on. I worked this out before we started. It will be due on May 4th. 4th of May. May 4th. 4th of May. At that point, we will close the forum, and there'll probably be a live stream that night, at which point anybody rushing to get it done will have a chance then, and then we'll close the forum, and then on May 18th, we'll go through the winning submissions. Obviously, yeah, Magic and Mayhem, they can reference SRD material. Yeah. Peek in the mic, I'm gonna turn it down a little. They're making something up where they have to go through the city, this is the one who's using black art, and find a girl whose dreams are changing the world with magic based on the changes to the city. That sounds cool. Star Wars Day, yeah, it's on May the 4th, that's right. Is there a rule sheet? Yes, there's a forum I just pasted, I'm going to paste it one more time. This includes all the information you need except the due date. Maybe I should go add that real quick. How does that work? Can I edit this? Yes. Submissions close on May 4th. There you go. Save. Hell yeah, Game Raven. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, we've been working on Crown of the Fungal Queen for a while now. I had a meeting. I sat down with Magnus, who's our lead writer, lead designer. I don't know what his title is, but he writes almost all of the adventures, first drafts based on my pitches for the broadsheet, and does all the editing passes and balancing for us, and does an absolute obscene amount of writing and editing. He came to a meeting along with myself and AB and our in-house artist Brimrun. If that sounds like static to you, I don't know what to tell you. That's her name. And we sat down and we wanted to talk about how much art we could get done for Crown of the Fungal Queen, because she is a month ahead of us. She can do about, she says, about 10 pieces a month, and that's sort of averaging. Some of them are like illustrations, some of them are characters. So there are different time frames. But we took a break in February, and she worked her butt off to get ahead. So she's now drawing broadsheet number 6 while I'm writing broadsheet number 5. And she's almost done with the art for broadsheet number 6. And when she is, she's going to move over to working on Crown of the Fungal Queen, which means we can get about 20 art pieces done. So we tallied up everything that what thought would need art, and we discovered we want like 37 pieces for it or something like that, which is way beyond what we could do in-house, and it's well beyond our sort of means at a normal pace. So we reached out to some artists that have worked with us in the past. Ali from Arcane Affinity, who did the Mage Hunter magic items for broadsheet number 3, and Ty Ellis, who did the Devourer of Flame for broadsheet number 4 and is working on a piece now for broadsheet number 5. And the pair of them are going to take some pieces. And we're trying to find a couple of other artists that could join the project. So if you are an artist and you're looking for a place that for someone to commission you, please send me a line, either through the Discord or maybe you can message us on Patreon. I don't know how that works. Or Blue Sky. You could find me on Blue Sky. Send me your DeviantArt or ArtStation, probably actually, and some sort of frame of reference for what that would cost. And I'd love to have a chat and see if we can find a way to work together so we can get all the pieces done that we want, because I really want Crown of the Fungal Queen to be this sort of big welcome to Atroxia, perfect for starters, beginners, new DMs and new players. So the more of like the look of the setting we can get in there, the better. I'm really excited about that. I hope you folks get a use out of it. In my experience, the stuff we do on Patreon, if it's adventures, it sells worse than everything else. So we're taking a big gamble on Crown of the Fungal Queen. I hope it's going to work. It's going to be hex crawl based, dungeon crawling based. So I have faith, but I am a little anxious about it, I'll be honest. We launched our actual play on Patreon for the Journeyman and Expert tiers. We got 2 new tiers on Patreon. Hang on, if I click this button. Yes! These are the new tiers on Patreon. You can see there's a new Journeyman tier at the same price point as adepts, but journeymen get access to the actual play. The adepts don't, but experts get both. And we're doing this sort of more as an early access. Eventually, we'll take the whole actual play, we'll edit it, we'll make it all sleek and nice, we'll get professional sound mixing on it, music and that kind of stuff, and it'll go up on YouTube. But there are folks who wanted to get a look at it early, and I figured, well, we'll put it up and we'll see who bites. So right now there are 2 episodes up, and we are close to finishing episode number 3. They're going to be at a sort of weird staggered release schedule just as quickly as we get them done. And we're going to just take the raw episodes, put them up on Patreon, and then we're going to start editing them and chopping them into shape, and then they're going to go up on Patreon for the experts and journeymen. And when we've edited and finalized all the episodes in the season, probably going to be about 12 episodes, then they'll go up on YouTube weekly. So those are all the sort of big things that have been happening here. We took February off, and as tends to happen when I take a break, that means I plan the crap out of everything I want to do. And turns out it's a starter adventure with 37 art pieces, and it's an actual play that we've been filming now for a couple of months. Wow, yeah, and then there's 2 broadsheets in the wings. Hey everybody, lots of Scandinavians here. And the Finns. Hello, Finns and Scandinavians. How large are my hexes? Is it logical to have weekly or monthly interactions happening between the dungeons on your map? My hexes are, on the world map, they're 24 miles. On my hex map, it's 3 miles. We made a video on why I use 3-mile hexes. I don't do time-based interactions all that much, but sometimes I put up sort of timers and stuff like that. Should the dungeons be balanced for maybe 5 level 1 to 3 players, or just 5 level 3 players? Five level 1 to 3 players, just 5 level. Just pick whatever you think is right for the dungeon. They're unlikely to be entering any of these dungeons at first level, so I would sort of, by ear, I'd try and aim for the 2nd, 3rd level of play. I think that's probably just a good sort of yardstick. But if the dungeon is exceptionally easy or exceptionally hard, we can obviously do a bit of tweaking. Hey Carl, how you doing? Good day to everybody. You found our channel 2 weeks ago. It is remarkable to me. I don't know why. I don't know why this is remarkable. I can't figure that one out. But it is remarkable to me when people are like, I just found your channel. Because I thought at some point people would stop finding this channel. I think at some point I thought that people would stop finding this channel. But I love that we're continuing to reach new people and help dungeon masters. That's what we're doing. I love that I get to help people run D&D for a living, and I'm remarkably blessed and honored to get to do that. Do you have any good Viking-themed D&D stuff you recommend? No, none that I can think of. Icewind Dale's very cold, but no, none that I can think of. Or if I were to run a Viking D&D adventure, I'd probably make sure that I just got inspired by Norska in Warhammer. I'm a big Warhammer fan. I played a lot of Total Warhammer. And they have like mammoths and berserkers and raiders and stuff like that. But then again, I'm not really concerned with representing my culture accurately. I kind of want to represent it as a heavy metal cover album. Valakan clans from Ghostfire is good Vikings. I'll take your word for it. Ghostfire does good stuff. Star Cosmic, you've been here since the first 1,000? That's crazy. How long till I become Dadi the Dungeon Guy? We'll give it a few more minutes. Let's see, what else is going on? I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. I don't know if you folks are into Sea of Thieves, but that's how I unwind now. I did a bunch of work this morning, recorded a video, bonus video for tomorrow. Keep your eyes open. And then wrote some notes for the stream. Answered some emails, and then I went and played Sea of Thieves for about an hour and a half before I had to run out and grab dinner, which I've sort of half eaten before I went live, but I was late, so that was about it. love that game. At some point, maybe next Dungeon Mayhem, like in 2027, maybe I'll do a Sea of Thieves, but D&D. I think that'll be great. Like ship rules and island hopping and seafaring rules and stuff like that. I just love making stuff. That's really what it is. I just want to make everything. I want to make 3 starter or 3 box sets if I can. Like I want to make stuff nonstop. The people who know me, they're like, Daði, you need to chill. And I'm like, make more things. 20 years in dungeons. I think dinosaurs would deserve a better role in D&D. I agree. We just did a lizard folk package of monsters on the Patreon, which is what the topic of tomorrow's video is going to be about, and put a bunch of dinos in there. And the dinos are on screen in the next video, so even if you're not a patron, you can just screenshot those stat blocks and run them. One of the ones I made there is called a spine raptor, and it only has 1 attack. Unless it hits, then it has 2, and if it hits the second one, then it has 3. And then it steals you. It has an abduct ability where it picks you up, takes you, and runs away with you. Mwah. Hey, awesome. That's awesome, Minor Illusion. Don't tell my manager. I won't tell him if you don't. Yeah. Been a hectic few days. Yeah, somebody asked if I was having fun. I am having fun. It's been hectic, but that's kind of how I like it. I mean, yeah, sort of the right kind of hectic. If it's making stuff kind of hectic, that's great. But AB did get rear-ended in the car the other day, and then the driver drove off. So that's the wrong kind of hectic. We don't like that. Yeah, that's the forum. Selka's got the forum. Look at you go. I'm not familiar with Paleo Games, Demon Boy. Are they the ones who did like the big dino book? I haven't really looked at it. I took a look at it at UKG, and I was skeptical on the math, but yeah, that was about it. I haven't really looked at it. Do you offer Patreon products outside of Patreon for sale? No, they're all exclusively on the Patreon. Yeah, AB's fine. She was very shaken up about it, but nobody got hurt or anything. Well, maybe the other driver got hurt. I don't know. Or he drove off. Hey, Zero Zerius. Thank you so much. Each month gets closer to the year as a sub. Wow, yeah. 10 months member. That's almost as many months as we make. I've not played Lancer. I saw it in the game store the other day, and it just looked so thick. I'm unlikely to try big, hefty rule books for the time being, but I am going to a cabin to play some D&D soon, and we'll be taking Vagabond with us. All the players have been reading Vagabond, and we're really excited to go play that. That's the one we're sort of most hyped about. I think that game is going to be set 2,000 years in my world's past, around the fall of a great empire, and they're going to get to figure out how it fell and who was responsible, and they might be able to change history. Man, bruh. Hey, Daði. In one of your videos, you ran a sponsor for a Norse-themed campaign setting. It seemed sweet to me, but I can't remember the name nor the video it was in. It wasn't a campaign setting. I ran a sponsor with Loot Studios, and they did a bunch of Norse minis. That was cool. They had like Norse elves and stuff like that. That was really cool. They make great minis. I still have that Tarask up there. This is literally how high up I need to look to see the Tarask, because it's such a big mini. No, because it's on a shelf. I heard that there's going to be goats in this wizard tower. Nubians. No, maybe. Well, Chris Taylor, like I said, I don't know that I'd have the time. If I was gonna go try Lancer, I'd have to upload less. That's literally. I'm not being facetious. It's evening now. This is the normal time for when we play, and here I am. So I really have to be careful about the games I pick, and they usually have to be something I can grok in an afternoon. Like, the only reason I'm running Vagabond is because I took the book with me to bed, and I started reading it, and I was done reading it by the time I needed to go to sleep. That is the window that a new game needs to be to fit into my schedule, or I'm gonna have to do something else for a living. At the moment, at the moment right now, because I'm running an actual play. I'm running 3 campaigns at the moment. So yeah. Jormungandr was in that. Yeah. That was Jormungandr. Exactly. That was the Babik video. Look, Trebor's just got it. Top of the dome. Making a mini of the Tarask sounds like heresy. Well, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. How often am I playing TTRPGs? This week I'm playing 3 sessions. That's the actual play, the sort of Spelljammer campaign that we're just starting right now, and I'll probably go talk about in a Dadi's Diary video, and then my main campaign, Kingmaker. And there is another session being played in my apartment that I am not a player in. I had to recuse myself because there is too much stuff to do. Sorry, I'm running 4. I'm also running Octavia, mine and AB's game that the 2 of us play. That's starting up again. We played the first session for a while this month. So yeah, I do a lot, and then I'm adding Vagabond on top of that because that's how excited I am about Vagabond. The paradox of covering indie RPGs, you have to make less videos about the indie RPGs to play those RPGs. Yeah, that's 100% the case. This is my job, so it gets kind of crazy because I play a lot and I have a lot of opinions about it, and I write a lot, and then I write modules and stuff for the Patreon, and I make, God, how many videos am I making this month? If we count the Patreon ones, for probably about 12 videos this month. So I get kooky. 4 every week. No. 4 this week. 3 this week. We're not doing Octavia this week. The only Kingmaker is every week. Everything else is sort of 2 or 3 times a month, depending on circumstances. Thoughts on Daggerheart? Looks really cool. I'm probably likelier to give that a go just because of the Colossus of the Drylands campaign setting. Like, for me, the difference between whether or not I jump on a system a lot of the times has to do with this sort of fall in love factor. Like, I get really excited about something like some holistic vision. So Lancer is mechs, if I'm remembering correctly. And that has never appealed to me that much. I think every now and again I'm sort of like, yeah, that's really cool. I was looking at the Heliana sponsor and I was like, that's really cool. But then, sometimes for some reason, the idea of like a bunch of mechs duking it out, I don't know. Maybe. I'm certain there will be a point where I'll see something from Lancer and I'll want to do it. But the thing is, I got my hands on Daggerheart. I opened it up and said Colossus of the Drylands, and a cowboy was shooting a massive gargantuan train construct. And that's when I decided that I will run Daggerheart at some point. I still haven't, but it looks really cool. What did I think of the pitch for Crows? Sounds awesome. I'm really excited about it. I have a soft spot for that kind of idea of that kind of play, but I haven't played enough of like old school games to really know whether or not I like it. But I like it in theory, and I will try Crows. Especially since it promises to be lighter than Drawsteel, which I played, and it was heavier than my taste tends to be, but I thought it was really well executed, even if it wasn't something for me. It was something that I would understand a lot of people really loving. Do you have any good recommendations for a sci-fi game? I would try Mothership. If I had to pick one right now, that's the one I'm mostly excited about. But then, somebody in chat's really liking Lancer. Do I have any options on the Heliana and Ryoko Kickstarter? I mean, they sponsored an episode. I know the folks that make them. They're incredibly talented. That stuff is really cool, and the minis and the art, it's so gorgeous. But unless you meant opinions, I mean, I think it looks really cool. I think everything they've done so far is proven to be successful and popular. So I have no reason to believe this one won't be, basically. Videos to get you inspired. Hildegard says, what do you think about videos to help you get inspired? I'm often asked by like other YouTubers what I attribute our success to here, and I never know what the answer is. I've never figured that out. I'm just sort of doing what I'm excited about. But the main thing for me is that I want to make videos. I don't want to be your teacher. I want to be your personal trainer. I want to get you excited to come work out. Except instead of work out, it's go run the game. Where can I find more info on Crown of the Fungal Queen? Hey, chicken, everything is fine? You've come to the right place. This is the 6th or 7th video in a live stream series here on the channel where I make a dungeon with chat. And we all get together, we go look at a dungeon, and we go create it together, you and me, sort of bouncing back and forth. And if you want to watch the rest of the videos, there's a playlist on the channel, but don't do it right now, because I'm live right now. What are you doing? Unless you're watching the VOD, then go check out the other episodes. But it is a, hang on, I can't explain it. Why can't I explain it? That's right. I'm Daði from Mystic Arts. I have to transform into Dadi the Dungeon Guy.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Subscribe to D&D rules.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Welcome back to Smash.
Clearly agile, sneaky, intelligent, powerful. I'm on the bed already.
T-minus 5 seconds.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
This is a hex map I made with chat a long time ago now. With, basically, I opened up Photoshop and I plopped in some brushes going bleep, bloop, blop, bleep, bleep, put a bunch of trees in, and here they all are. This is the town of Dillhorn. If you think that sounds lame, then you have understood the core premise of Dillhorn. It's a lame little town. That's what it is. Here it is. This is Dillhorn. Here's the town map. And it is on the center, it is in the middle of this big forest called the Ashwood. And the only reason it exists is because there's a train line that goes through the town, goes through the forest. Literally to Blackguard up here, which is sort of this 2 million people metropolis, and goes through the forest and down to southern Ariston this way. And that train line needs a place where they can put more coal on the train, you know, maintain it if something goes wrong. And that's why Dillhorn exists. And here's Dillhorn. And the problem Dillhorn has is that the forest is full of weird stuff. In particular, it's full of, you know, druids that are attacking the town. It's got monsters in it, kobolds, goblins, orcs, you know, all the basics. But it's also got rat vermin, which are like, you know, Warhammer Skaven. And it's got, what else has it got? It's got a hag. And in the middle of the forest, there's a tower here called Canopy's Breach. This is an ancient tower from back when Atraxia wasn't an industrializing, you know, progress-oriented nation. But it was, in fact, a feudal kingdom. And when that was happening, there was a tower here, and there was a battle, and the knight of one of the sides died, a druid or something that belonged to one of the sides in this conflict, and their brain was full of spores, of cordyceps spores, that have since mutated and evolved and changed. And now the druid knight's body is buried underneath Canopy's breach, where the cordyceps has pulled the knight apart, taking these strands of its body, stretching it out across the wall, out from its head, creating a crown. This knight, a woman, is now the Fungal Queen. She's dead, and her brain is her crown that commands these spore zombies and druids all across the forest. And that is the sort of main villain of our game. And that's the core premise. Now, if you're somebody who wants to take part in the contest, you don't have to do anything related to that. You are going to make a standalone adventure. And what is important about a standalone adventure is that A, it's standalone. If somebody picks up this module and goes, I don't care about Dadi's stupid setting with his trains and guns, that's okay. They're allowed to be wrong. And they go, I don't care about this awesome druid that was converted into a sapiens for cordyceps mushrooms. Throw that out. And again, that's all right. They're allowed to be wrong. I just want the dungeons in here, and I'm going to rip them out, and I'm going to put them in my own hex crawl. They are allowed to do that. In fact, we're going to support it. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of standalone dungeons. We've already made some. For instance, Rat Home. Rat Home is a standalone dungeon full of rats. The Many Teeth Tribe. Hang on. How do I... The Many Teeth Tribe, there we go, is a goblin tribe, I think? Or an orc tribe. I think it's goblins. Yes, goblins. And then there's a kobold tribe, the red scale tribe. There's a crypt full of skeletons. Those are all boring dungeons, so I'm going to do them. But there's 5 other dungeons in here. Actually, there's 6 other dungeons in here that are completely standalone, just the same way. But they are a unique standalone adventure. We're going to find something in there that isn't connected to the rest of the adventure. With the goblins, the kobolds, our job is going to be, when we write those adventures, to make them actively connected into the rest of the adventure. We're going to have clues for everything going on. We're going to have all kinds of sort of hidden trinkets and things you can find out, and you can go, this is what that is, this is what that is. So that's going to be actively like the part of the network, the weave of our campaign, or of our adventure here, of the Crown of the Fungal Queen. But some of these are going to be fully standalone, and they're just going to be things that are interesting to do as a player. And those are Naiad's Rest, Amberlain, Brewing Cabin, Grim Root, Abandoned Mine, and the Library. And here's why that's important. These are all going to be just fun to play by themselves, right? And when you make a dungeon that is supposed to be fun to play on its own, you have a different assignment than when you make a dungeon that is part of a wider hex scroll. Even if your standalone dungeon is fun to play on its own, you have the benefit of knowing that your job is going to be to connect these bits. So, the kobold leader in the Red Scale tribe has a deal with the druids, right? You create these little bits of connection, you let the players find out about them. That's all interconnected. But occasionally, you're just going to make a standalone dungeon. Naiad's Rest, Amberlain, Brewing Cabin, Grim Root, Abandoned Mine, the Library. Those are the 6 ones that I'm going to treat this way. And the one I want to work on is Amberlain. That's the one chat was really excited about last time. That is going to be a wizard's tower. So how do we get our example? Now, if you're going to go make a dungeon for the contest, you can follow the steps in this live stream that we're going to go through here. You're going to try and ask yourself those same questions, see if you come to similar conclusions. But I'm going to try and do the same here, specifically for Amberlain, which is not one of the options that you can pick, because I'm going to use our Amberlain, the one we're making with chat. And the thing with Amberlain is, it's a wizard's tower. So we kind of have a blank canvas. This is also why we picked Brewing Cabin, Grim Root, Abandoned Mine, the Library, and Naiad's Rest, because none of them were too prescriptive. We didn't put Spider's Nest on the list of pickable options, because I feel like we all know what the Spider's Nest is. But I don't know, anything could be in an abandoned mine. Anything could be in the library. Anything could be in Grim Root, Naiad's Rest, Brewing Cabin. Maybe there's a Naiad in Naiad's Rest. Maybe not. Maybe the Naiad's dead. Who's in charge now? You tell me, right? So we're going to make this Amberlain thing. What's the app name? This here, believe it or not, this is Windows Photos. But the map was made in Photoshop. So, when we're making something like a standalone dungeon, like Amberlain, we need to ask ourselves what makes it unique. If a DM is going to get excited about your 5-room dungeon instead of their 5-room dungeon, there needs to be something in there that inspires the DM that's going to read it, your reader, your audience, right? And how do you do that? I don't know. I think we're going to find out, but we're going to ask ourselves, how are we going to do that? And immediately my mind comes to a fantastic issue of MCDM's Arcadia, the Watchers. What's it called? If Magnus is in chat, he might be able to tell us. Let me go click this button and search. Make sure you don't see any spoilers on my computer. What is it called? Workshop Watches. This here is an Arcadia standalone dungeon by Leon Barillo, and it is in the first issue of Arcadia from MCDM. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing, because if you want this, you need to make sure to give MCDM your dues, not me. And the thing that they do is that there is... Hang on, I'm not going to scroll through the whole thing here. Babu, babu, babu. I'm just going to show you this final picture. The thing that they do is that they introduce this. This is a shield guardian named Sam. And he is, spoilers for this adventure, by the way, but if you're a DM, you should run it. It's really good. Sam here is an AI. He's a computer that the wizards built to run the laboratory for them. But he's not that smart. I mean, he's got 20 intelligence, but he doesn't, get humans. So he ends up, they're like, hey, it's a little hot in here. Can you turn up the heat? And he goes, yes, I'm increasing the heat by 20%. But it turns out he's doing it based on Kelvin instead of Celsius. So, 20% just cooks everybody alive. Yeah, it's Sam, Selka. This adventure is so good that I read it when Arcadia first came out. I immediately took it, put it in my adventure. Because I was inspired. So it had this unique idea. What if Wizard's Tower, but AI runs the tower, and the AI has grown malignant? And here's the key. You can, as the player, you can take the AI and teach it. You can take it with you. You get the AI, and you get to train it. And that's Sam. The structure of assisted magic, SAM, Sam. That's cool. When you get a unique idea like that, your 5-room dungeon goes from being, here are 5 rooms, you fight these guys, these guys, these guys, and then you get the treasure, or whatever. If you're just a DM who's making it up for their own table, that is more than enough. That is way more than enough, especially if you're a new DM. But if you're going to try and sell it, or not even sell it, give it away for free, but you want people to use it, to like it, you need to find a sort of hook, right? So how do you find that hook? How do you get excited about this standalone thing? Orbiting Hog, what would you say is the theme of the campaign? Genre, good alignment, protagonists. None of that should matter for the dungeon. It has got to be standalone. The theme is there's a town in the forest here. They are cutting through the forest. The forest doesn't like it. But your dungeon could be about anything. It could be a portal to another world. Whatever you want. Maybe Naiad's Rest is a pond, and in the middle of the pond is a portal into the Feywild. And then you run a little dungeon in the Feywild. It is unconnected. It is just a neat idea that a DM might want to run. And that DM running it might then decide, hey, what if I take this dungeon and I make sure there's a plot hook for it somewhere because I really like this one and I want them to go there. Idea, instead of making an individual, make the magic AI the tower with avatars. We shouldn't do the same as work time watches. We should do something else. What is the wizard up to? What is the wizard up to? That is the question we should be thinking about right now. That is that's going to be a good question. Do they have a portal to another world? That's one idea. There's a portal to another world here. Are they making a demi-plane? That could be something, right? The wizard's making a demi-plane. Are they crafting creatures? Are they building, maybe it's not the structure for assisted magic. Maybe, is it an evil wizard? Do they have a flesh golem that they're creating? It's like, is this Dr. Frankenstein, right? That might fit well with our idea of sort of Victorian era industrial, atroxia. But it doesn't have to. It could be completely standalone. Wizard's just lazy. How does that help us? A wizard was trying to communicate with their deity, but was corrupted. Is that a wizard story? I think it's a neat story, but I don't know if it's our wizard story. Might fit somewhere else. Non-Euclidean demiplanes within the tower. He wants to turn the tower into a spaceship. Have you read Candlekeep Mysteries? Because there's a piece of art from that book. I was talking about falling in love earlier with the cowboy and the train mech. There's a piece of art from that book, which is just a city, like Candlekeep, and then a wizard tower going, and like a smoke trail behind it. Coolest idea. We're not doing that. We can't steal it. No. Because I would literally write it up again. Sometimes I take things I'm inspired by, but I don't like doing it to RPG products that already exist. I'm going to take things from history. I'm going to take things from something else, especially if it's something that I'm going to offer to other people. Thanks, Ronan. Dragon's inhabited by green. The tower's inhabited by green dragon that took it over. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's a layer on top, right? So I think the main question we should ask ourselves: do we want the wizard to be there, or is the wizard dead? No AI. No. If people want the Wizard Tower AI, they got to go get the workshop watches. That is dope as hell. That's not going to be in our ones. I was just using that as an illustration to talk about how that idea, if it had just been a tower with some goblins in it, that would have been one thing. But it had that clever, preserved in amber. Trebor, that's cool. It's preserved in amber. Did you folks watch Fringe? That's dope. So in Fringe, there's like when something goes terribly wrong with the reality of our world, they take these bombs, they stick them down, they click them, and then these crystals, this amber crystal gel, it's like a gas, and then it solidifies, and it holds reality together. And anyone who is present when it happened is preserved in amber. It's literally frozen in there. Wizard's trapped in a tower. Yeah, I think he's trapped in amber. That's really cool, Trebor. What if the wizard's not dead, but isn't in there either? Where is he? If this is a standalone adventure, we gotta wrap it up in this one sitting. Right? If it were a part of a grander campaign, we could get away with that idea. But this is a standalone adventure. It's challenging, right? People always say, oh, you're going to start to run D&D, you're going to run D&D for the first time, you should run a one-shot. I don't think that's good advice. I think one-shot is great for new people playing D&D. I don't think it's great for new DMs, because there's so much pain and suffering to try and get a story to fit into one chunk. So how do we get it so that because it's so much easier to just go, yeah, the wizard's not here, we gotta go find the wizard. Oh, you go to the next dungeon where the wizard's not here either, but his assistant is a homunculus named Glebo. And you just go on like spinning stories endlessly. The tower is named Amberlain after all. That is true. That is true. Where did the amber come from? How do we get rid of it? That's a good idea. There's a Matt Colville video that people should watch called Verbs. I think I shouted it out. No, I haven't. That's on Thursday. I shouted out on Thursday. There's a Matt Colville video called Verbs, which is like when you're making an adventure, make sure that there are good verbs in there. How did the amber get here? Where did it come from? Those aren't good verbs. They're good questions to ask. Destroy the amber. That's a good verb. Let's scroll down in our document here. But hang on, what if I do this button? Does that work? Look at that. Brilliant. A wizard is preserved in amber in this tower. Some magic ritual went horribly wrong, and the wizard pulled a safety feature to preserve reality. Classic wizard stuff. What are wizards in stories? A wizard player character has a book and casts spells out of a book, but wizards in stories, they are characters who delve too deep into the depths of the forest of all knowledge, right? Demiplane? I like the idea of a demiplane. That's cool. Catnip dealer says getting cool, uncommon items like amber shield or armor as a reward would be sick. I agree. I think if you're making a standalone dungeon, how you make it interesting for you as a DM is you put some dope magic item in there. Maybe one or two. Arcane Affinity did this in their new book that Ali made. Every little dungeon in there has got a bunch of magic items. Because that way it becomes this standalone thing. It's like here's the idea, here's the monsters, here's the lore, here's the magic item package. And here's why you do that. If you're making one adventure in a larger adventure structure, this adventure just points at other adventures. Item number 1 says, this comes from that dungeon over there, go there for more of that. Item number 2 says, this goes from there, This lore pickup weekend points at adventure number 3. It has the benefit of shooting these lasers out into the rest of the hex map, into all of this, right? But if you've got a standalone adventure, and you get an item, it can't go and point you somewhere else because it's standalone. Like, that is a constraint on the adventure as written. So what you have to do is you have to take that adventure item and make it point at something else in this standalone adventure. The monster, the premise, the lore. And then everything points at each other. And when you read something like that, it feels like it has meaning. It's that much stronger. Right? I don't want to alarm anybody, but this is the most amount of concurrent viewers we've ever had on a Mystic Arts live stream. Wild. It was 285 there for a second. Amberlain reminds me of Memory Lane. So maybe the 5 rooms are the wizard's memory and the secret to how to get out. Maybe. I don't think all 5 rooms need to fit within the same idea. 5 different memories. 5 different ways to be preserved in amber. 5 different demiplanes. I think the best 5-room dungeon is each idea linearly. This is the other thing. If we're doing a 5-room dungeon, we have a structure that we're working with, right? If you're making your own standalone 5-room dungeon for the contest, here's how you do it. Entrance. First you learn how to spell. No? Did I do it right? God. Who invented this language? Then there is the puzzle/roleplay. Setback. Climax. Reward. Right? Hi, Gabby Pie. I'm doing well. Send himself into the past. I don't think we should do amber and time travel. I feel, that's too much. And Demiplane. Demiplane leads to Amber. Already makes sense to me. So what we're doing, we are doing the Demiplane. Something went wrong, and we're doing Amber as an emergency mechanism. Big giant mosquito. Ugh. The reason the wizard is coated in amber is because the tower's failsafe device went off. Yeah, I agree. The wizard was breaking reality, and now the players have to untrap the wizard without also untrapping his spell. I like that. Time travel leads to amber also makes sense. Yes. I just feel like it's a big jar to crack open at level 2. Someone wrote a 5-room dungeon with that idea last year. Yeah, if you're talking about the time travel, Carl, then it was Tom Fitch and Bart's College. They did a time travel adventure. The dungeon you have to play twice, I think it's called. Cool idea. Another thing we have to remember, to get it done in one session, we can't have that many ideas. We have to kind of constrain ourselves. So, entrance, I don't know yet. I don't know. These are our steps. I don't know them. Sometimes, just for my own sake, I like to do a little bit of the formatting, just so that I know what my notes will look like. It sort of helps me visualize where I'm going. Alright, what's the name of the wizard, everybody? What is the name of the wizard? This tall tower has chunks of amber crystals sticking out of it. And it has looked like that for centuries. Already, I don't think we need time travel. This guy's going to be from the past. Ambin. Marius. Sebastian. Henderson Honeypots. Orticula. Dimwit. Man, I should just ask you to name things. Grand Elf. Electri. That's Latin for amber. Right, Nax? You like the idea that he was trapped prior to the fungal undead? I think so too. I think I like the idea of him just being from a completely different world. He's from, feudal land, and he's like, what are you people? Right? Forglore. Actually, I think this is kind of a useless exercise until we know what species this guy is. Is he human? Is it a he? Could be a she. Or she. Did you watch James Acaster? Archibald Camdrew. What names were in the past you're setting? I use a lot of old-timey English names for this period. Theroden. Theroden's not bad. I really like Theroden. Grixheim. Yeah, Turbo Nerd. We'll do that too. Fives and Turbo Nerd. Let's do it that way. Archmage Theroden Grixheim was experimenting with demi-planar magic beyond his comprehension. Right? Archibald's good, but I did use Archibald for Archibald Cheddarfield in the broadsheet. Here he is. He's the mouse man over there. That's Archibald Cheddarfield. He's a cheese aristocrat. Who lets me get away with this stuff? I think this is just a human. It's either like a human or a half-elf. Half-elf might be fun. Alright, what went wrong? I personally like the idea of the demiplanar magic being it wasn't demiplanar, it was just extraplanar. Can I do a poll? What went wrong? Non-binary. They or she. Sorry. Amber Army. No, I think Amber is a safety mechanism. I think Amber is a safety mechanism. I think the demi-planar magic, I like the idea of that. That means we get to go into the demi-plane, right? I think that's cool. We could do something else, but the fact that we have an idea that is also a room, that is also wizardy stuff, that's everything pointing at each other. What we don't want is for everything to point in different directions, and then you read it and it just becomes this kind of convoluted mess. You need a lot of pages to explain it. We can only fit about 670 words on a paraspread if we're going to include a map and a little art. So we have to make sure that we are tight. Tight. Not showing Obsidian. I haven't added anything. I wrote this line, and then I started yapping to you people. James Acaster is the goat. Or she? Sorry. I love that gag. I say that all the time. He's no longer human. Yeah. Demi-plane could be zero gravity zone. That's fun. What if it's just like, there are devils in there? Is that too bland? We got the name Theoden Grixheim. Maybe not Grixheim. I'll steal your last name there, Nax. Vandale. Theoden Vandale. Bland. Man, Blade Roller really tells it how it is, huh? Blights, level 1 to 3 still? Yeah. Maybe this starter set goes to like level 5, but we should be aiming at a sort of level 3 difficulty scale for these. Because I think level 1 you're probably going to get to in your first dungeon. So we should be thinking this is going to be level 3. Will the dungeon have a cheese vault? No. This isn't Archibald. If you want to know about Archibald, the cheese aristocrat, you got to go pick up the broadsheet. That's just how it works. I don't make the rules. Extraplanar power source. Yeah, I'm really nervous about this escalating into a whole thing. If the ritual is anything complicated enough that I have to spend more than 10 words explaining it, I don't think it works. Because we're going to have to put monsters in here. We're going to have to explain the amber. We're going to have to put a magic item in here, a map, art. So if we need more than 10 words to just say, this is what he was trying to do, I think we've sort of fallen down a rabbit hole. Right? Giant woodpecker. What did you call me? An elemental claw is reaching through a portal trapped in the amber, and who knows what'll happen when it's freed. Yes. That's dope. Because now we can say there's a claw sticking out and a bit of read aloud text, and now we can say if the amber, gets reversed, the claw comes out and it's this monster. Right? So the spell instead connected the tower to the plane of Primotheosis. The elemental worlds. Right? With an extra planner reaching through the portal, with an extra planar creature reaching through the portal, the tower's automatic safety precautions triggered. And the tower was sealed, was preserved in amber. Demiplane was supposed to lead to an ancient plane of wisdom, but instead led to a place where an entity was banished. Yep, that's cool. I think it was just trying to create a study. I think this is such a wizard thing. He's like, what if I make a pocket dimension where it can read my books? 3rd level. Auto magic safety precaution. That's funny. That is funny. We're gonna have to leave that in our heads, though. Chat builds a dungeon. Yeah. Hey, Dad, do you ever think about putting some background music on stream? I keep feeling like my speaker has unconnected when you aren't talking. Yeah. I have thought about it. I haven't really figured out how to license it or how that will work. I've got some music in my ears. I recommend you just find some study music that you like, and then you can listen to your own tunes. So you don't have to suffer my dad rock tastes. He tried to connect to Faye because time moves slower so he could read more books in less time. Yes, Silver Ant. That's good. With... I don't even think the spell needs to have gone wrong. I think he's just an idiot. We're now introducing 2 planes. Cut it. He was experimenting with portal magic beyond his comprehension. He connected the tower, the other world of fairy, in order to be able to read more books in less time. The spell failed. No, the spell didn't fail. When the spell worked, a creature reached through the portal. From fairy. Right? Whenever you're trying to make a plot and you notice it becoming more and more complicated, you add more and more NPCs, more and more references, more and more things. Think to yourself how long it's supposed to be. Because, if you're doing something that's supposed to take years and years and years to complete, you're fine. But if you want something to just work in a night, can't make it too complicated. Just keep it simple. Big tree or in the Fey Realms? Yeah, I like that idea. Now the human has to be a wizard. Enough wouldn't be conserved with more time. I agree. Could be one of the shorter lived races. Maybe. I think if it's like a kobold from the ancient past, I feel like that's one too many hats. Maybe I'm insane. But already it's going to be a really flavorful character. He's gonna be from the past. He's gonna go, "What are them firearms?" And they're gonna be like, "What is this guy?" I don't think he needs to be a kobold. I think we can keep the, you know, novelty species in our back pocket for a later time. What if it just connected to a darker part of fairy? Yeah. I think that's entirely accurate. My setting has many different Feywilds, many different domains in the Feywild. I think it perfectly works. Did he have an apprentice? I like that idea. Yeah, he could have an apprentice. That apprentice can be a novelty character, more of a novelty species. Like a homunculus? Is that not how you spell homunculus? Come on, English language. Obviously. Yes, it's 3 U's. It's homunculus Walter. That's funny to me. We'll have kobolds in another part of the adventure. I don't think we need them. That doesn't mean they can't be in a standalone part of the adventure, but I think we should reach further afield. I like the idea of a homunculus. I like the idea of the climax being you have to close the portal from the other side. That way you have to, like, the fourth room is going to the other side. That's good, Techie. Homunculus can be someone they have to work with to disable the safety amber. Yeah. If freed, he can disable caution. He can disable the safety precautions and remove and safely remove all the amber from the tower. That'll free both Theradin and the extra planar claw owner. There we go. Homunculus. Homunculus. Not like monkey. Okay. What if Walter's just a tiny clone of Theradin? That's funny. Adding that. Going into the other world to seal. So I think the entrance is just, what if the claw is Walter in it? There you go. Oh! No, it's like Fairy Theradin. Is that crazy? Is that crazy? So for those who haven't seen, the premise of Fringe is that there are 2 like worlds. And this is, a minor spoiler for a show ages ago, but there are 2 worlds. And there is like this part of the FBI basically doing X-Files, and then in the other world, that same department is so much stronger and more powerful, and they are waging a war against our world. And the leader of that faction is the like doddering scientist character in the main world. So it's John Noble, the Steward of Gondor, plays this kind of like kooky main scientist character who's got like a love for red licorice and has like some kind of neurodivergency. But then in the alternate universe, he's like evil, maniacal, fucking Henry Kissinger type of guy. That's good. Yeah. Could be a hag to mirror Theroden's casterness. Maybe. A fairy version of Theroden? Maybe. Why would that happen? I don't know. Is that like. How does that happen? That's a head scratcher. Hang on, I'm being texted. There we go. Anna Torv too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great cast on that show. Man, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we should go too far into it. Silbrand. The fairy version of him? Is that a thing? I don't think so. Changeling. Yes, that's fairy. That's fairy fairy. Yes. It's not him, it just looks like him. Yes. We might have to come up with a new phrase because in D&D parlance, a changeling typically refers to like the species that can cast disguise self. Uh, but in Feywild logic, it's like replace babies at birth kind of thing. And then it's extra fun that Walter is created in Theroden's image. So it's all about this one wizard. Notice now how our idea is sort of circling in on itself. It's a plane to the Feywild, with the Feywild changeling coming after Theroden, who's got a different clay version of himself, and now there are 3 Therodens in the room. This wizard's gone mad. You know, everything is about this center thing. Aren't changelings fey though? Yes, but I mean, like in D&D, they're mostly just like, I was born being able to change myself. But in fairy mythos, that's not what changelings are. Changelings are a hag stole your baby in the middle of the night, and now your baby is still there, but it's not your baby, and it looks a little weird, and it behaves strangely, right? So you know, they're not. They're like monsters. They're not like people. I don't think, at least not according to my understanding of typical fairy nonsense. But I might be wrong. It's usually the thing with as soon as something becomes a player character, it becomes sort of too much people for me a lot of the time. For instance, if I had my way, you could not play elves. Elves would be off limits, and I would make them live thousands of years, and they'd be NPC characters. But I am not in charge, and thank God lots of people like playing elves. He has to have portraits of himself at every level of the tower. Yes. Hell yeah. Hello, Norge. Perfect age for player elves is 150. Here's my hot take. I think elves mature at the same rate as humans physically, but are not considered elves until 100. So for me, a perfect age for a player elf is before they are considered to be elves by other elves. Meaning elves consider you to be an elf when you have watched all your little mayfly human friends die. And then you can join elf society because you now no longer care about anybody else because you've been burned. That's when you get to join elf society. So for me, I think player elves should be in that range where they still have human friends. Unless I trust the player a lot. I'm in my actual play, the Arclight show. My flatmate Ivar, who paints all the minis that we show on the channel, is playing an elf, and he's playing like an old elf, like a 600-something-year-old elf. And his character, like both the player knows the history of my world backwards and forwards, and he plays it to such a callousness. I trust him really about that. Comes out of the portal. Talking to Walter, the Homunculus, is the roleplay section. I don't think Walter got preserved in amber. I think he's just like knocked out or in stasis or something. Like in low power mode. That's what I'm right now. We'll eventually make it make sense, but activating him, he can guide the players to unfreeze the tower. But that will let whatever's inside the portal out. So basically we're building in the idea that if the players want to get loot out of this dungeon, they have to fight the monster. They have to take the amber down. Now there may be other ways to do it, but I think that's the premise. This is an optional thing they're engaging in, so they are going to do that. If they want to get the stuff in here, they want to talk to the wizard, they gotta unfreeze the tower. Scary creature. I think the setback should be a scary fight with this changeling. He's very vain. He's got portraits of himself all over the place. Should have called the tower Amberlain. Is changeling the monster or the claw? The claw belongs to a creature, and the creature is the changeling. From the other homunculus. Just one homunculus. Yeah, I think it's probably what it is, Star Cosmic. Then, if you want to seal the portal, you have to go through to the Feywild and close it there, and that's probably got to be some kind of fight. Is that boring? I don't know. Maybe that's not interesting. I feel like I'm doing that thing where I'm adding a whole section. You know what I mean? When we were working on Echoes of the End, the video game I wrote and directed for, this must have been in 2018. We'd had an outline featuring a plot with a villain, and then a player's trusted ally, and a player's other, new ally that they didn't trust yet. We were thinking, it's like a checkerboard. Player's new ally, player's trusted ally, player's enemy. And then we thought maybe these are two different enemies and they're kind of mirror each other in these ways. We had all these logical explanations for why that would be good writing. And then we realized if we just made the trusted ally who was going to be bad eventually, and this bad person who had no redeeming qualities, the same person, it would just make the whole narrative stronger. Sometimes when you cut an entire chunk, you just clean everything up. Sounds exciting if you're on the other side of the portal. My point of that story is that going into the Feywild is something I like the idea of. I'm like, ooh, Feywild bit. But is that interesting? Hey man, bro. Wow, I really appreciate that. I worked really hard on that thing. Oh. AB's monitor went out. I worked really hard on that thing. I worked on it for 7 years. And that example I just told you is not in that game. We ended up cutting that entire thing. But sometimes you go too far. But yeah, it was a blast. Portal room is infected with Fey stuff. What is a logical... So if we want to go to the Feywild, we have to make sure that whatever's in the Feywild is a logical conclusion to what we've done so far. And I think that means we have to ask ourselves and answer, what is the Amber? And that way it is a part of the same story. Because if we just go... Yes, Rex, it is Goblin lands and Elf lands. But if we just go into the Feywild and fight some goblins... What is that? Why is that the climax? Why do we fight the goblins and go, ah, yes, we've done it. I've killed 4 goblins. D&D has happened. You know, why does that make it good? The Changeling brings some Fey weirdness into the study, so you get the weirdness without a whole nother chunk. Yeah. That's right, Abu G. You told me whether it was a soft or a hard G, and I forgot. I'm sorry. Booyee. I think it's a booyee. Leaking into the player side. That sounds more straightforward. Yep. I like the idea of going into the Feywild and it being the Amber. What is it? The Amber is highly concentrated arcane energy from the other side. Yes, Weep Genesis. That's not bad. D&D has happened is quite the quote. That's literally how I think of it. You know, we're all gonna talk in character, and you're all gonna say, "Oh, this bad guy is so sexy or hot, and I have this many hits per second, and oh, I can move this fast." But that D&D hasn't happened until we've all bonked some bad guys on the head, gotten a little bit of reward, and then thought about our feelings. The last one is optional even. One of the players have to fight Theoden because he wants to keep the portal open, is wreaking havoc without the Amber. Yeah. I am no longer at Midgard. This is my job now, man, bro. So I couldn't tell you. You must assume that they're going to be working on something. What if it's a tree? Wasn't the Amber his safety mechanism? Yeah. So it wouldn't be on the other side, right? The Fey creatures are trying to seal out the Changeling, and it's all a misunderstanding. The Amber can be a volatile reaction between the safety and the Fey magic bleeding through. Yes, that's cool. Maybe the safety feature is just counterspell. Or dispel magic. It's just a glyph of warding with dispel magic on it. Keep it simple, stupid, right? But due to a strange reaction with fairy magic on the other side, the tower was preserved in Amber. And I think I'm going to swap these. No, you can't get into the portal, can you? Can you? What does Anna say? Amber's concentrated magic stolen by the wizard, siphoned from Titania, maybe, Oberon, yeah. The Amber comes from a Fey tree. Yeah, I think think that might be it. See, eventually you hit the mud and you just spin your wheels. So I think I would enjoy it more if we had. Here's the bit I added due to a strange reaction with fairy magic. I think I'd enjoy this more if the changeling was the final boss. But I don't know if there's a way to fight the changeling without, or like go through the portal without first freeing the changeling. And I definitely don't want it to be that changelings already replaced them. Unless that is what it is. So, bear with me. Bear with me. Is this crazy? I have a whole video coming out on Thursday about why you shouldn't make NPCs betray the player characters. But setback. A scroll of something or other. We'll get there. Undoes the amber. Freeing Theroden. He says that in order to close the portal... Is that insane? That in order to close the portal, you have to go through to the other side. And on the other side is Theroden. And the guy you've been talking to is a changeling. Is that crazy? The amber trapped the fake wizard. Yeah. Is that insane? Lots of different ideas going around. Connect, it's cool. It's one hell of a twist. Okay. Trixie. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's do it. Let's do it. I think this is okay because it is just going to be a matter of minutes. It's not going to be, we're not going to deceive the players for an hour or two. And what is Theroden doing? He's probably trapped in Amber too. Okay. Okay. Let's crack. Let's crack on. Here we go. A scroll of something or other. Let's put that into parentheses. Undoes the amber. Freeing Theroden. He says that in order to close the portal, they have to shut it from the other side. Through the portal, going into the other world to seal the portal from the other side. There, Theroden, the real Theroden, is frozen in amber by a massive amber tree, the source of this amber spell. If we really wanted to go the French reference, we'd change Theroden's name so that it could be like Faux Theroden. Like Folivia or Walternet. Maybe Theroden has just been reading in the Feywild. That's so funny. Guy looks up from his book going, "Who's that?" It's been 5 minutes for Theroden. Feywild magic is weird like that. It's been 5 minutes for Theroden. He's barely sat down, he's got his tea out, he's having a sip, and then what? A whole time has gone past. An empire rose and fell in his absence. Fakeadin, that's funny. Fee fi fo Theroden. Falls Theoden and tries to kill him. Replace him. Thoradin. Then we should change him to Thoradin, right? Thoradin? Thoradin? That's the dumb bit. He got his time calculations wrong. Yeah, he's an idiot. Time in the Feywild is you go in and time passes in the real world, not the other way around. You nitwit. Okay, so we have to change our setup a little bit. That's all right. This is also the thing. Sometimes people ask, like, okay, which comes first? The layout, or the art, or the story? And the truth is, it's sort of everything. You sort of have to start imagining, what's the art going to be? I think it's going to be this tower, amber in it, okay. Why is the amber there? It's this magical safety precaution. Okay. Why did it go off? Actually, could the Feywild have triggered it? Actually, is it all in amber or just chunks of it? How much of it is in amber? Is there just one big chunk of amber in there? And you just go and you do every little bit of design, every step simultaneously, in circles, all around, bouncing around, not being constrained by the method. Just letting the method be a sort of guidance for what it is you're thinking. And then being free to create and not be constrained. Only constrain to inspire, right? And if your constraints are making you question everything, throw out the constraints and do what works. So. He connected the tower to the other world fair in order to read books in less time. When the spell worked, he stepped through and sat down in the Feywild. Sorry, in Fairy. Meanwhile, a changeling in the real world. When the changeling stepped into the tower, he was frozen. He was immediately frozen in amber. Sorry, let's cut that. A tower's automatic safety precautions, a glyph of warding with dispel magic was triggered by the presence of an extra planar creature. The combination of that spell, the amber tree on the other side of the portal, chunk of amber, created a chunk of amber, freezing changeling in Thoradin's. Got to replace this Thoradin. When the changeling stepped into the tower's automatic safety precautions, a glyph of warding with dispel magic was triggered by the presence of an extraplanar creature. The combination of that spell and the amber tree on the other side of the portal created a chunk of amber, freezing this changeling in Thoradin's appearance for centuries. Thoradin's homunculus Walter, creating Thoradin's image, is unconscious in the tower. If healed, he can disable the safety precautions and remove all the amber from the tower. I don't know if that works anymore. If healed, he can... You can fetch a hidden stack of Thoradin's scrolls, including a... is it a Dispel Magic scroll? I mean, I don't see why not. To end the amber. Would that do it? Would that do more? Probably not if the portal's frozen in it. I don't know. I'll put a little question mark here. That'll free false Thoradin. So the entrance to the entrance. Remember, the 5-room dungeon isn't about 5 rooms. It's about a story structure. I don't know how many rooms this tower is going to have, but the entrance is: has anybody figured out giving hit points to the homunculus? The entrance has to answer the question: why hasn't someone else cleared the dungeon already? Well, they haven't given hit points to the homunculus. So the entrance is exploring the tower and finding Walter the homunculus. Roleplay. Walter is in low power mode in the tower, activating him. We don't need this here. Activating Walter, he can guide the players to unfreeze the tower, but that'll let whatever's inside the portal out. And saving Thoradin. Setback. Once free, Thoradin explains that in order to close the portal, they have to shut it from the other side. A clever lie to kill them in the Feywild. Sorry, in the other world of Fairy. Ha 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 ha. Right. Climax. Through the portal, going into the other world to seal the portal from the other side. So here we don't need this part. Once on the other side, the real Thoradin has just sat down to read a book underneath a massive amber tree. False Thoradin tries to kill him. And the players to so that there are no witnesses to what has happened. He needs, it's the changeling's motivation. He needs to freely assume Thoradin's position in reality. Sorry, in the mortal world. So technically, I think this here is, here as a part of the setback. Or as part of the exploration, and then the climax is just fight Thoradin. Maybe also fight others. Question mark. Who's Mark? And then reward. Once his life is saved, Thoradin rewards the party with 2 magic items. Right? Needs a reason that Thoradin can't single-handedly nuke the changeling. Yeah. I don't know that he's actually any good of a wizard. I think he's created this portal, using scrolls or whatever he's got. Whoa, Dirty DM, thank you so much. Oh my god, 20 gifted memberships. Thoradin is out of spell slots from opening the portal. Let's do that. I'd say mostly. 20 memberships. That's insane. God, everybody say thanks to Dirty DM. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Maybe some kind of ticking clock element with the amber. I don't know that we need it. I don't know that it's necessary. Unless you mean like here. Yeah, maybe. We're just wrapping up, I think. Wow. Yeah, this is extra funny because both the wizard and the changeling kind of dumb, since he's unknowingly been in there for a century, and the changeling could have just taken his identity. If they get all the amber down, the changeling doesn't know how the amber works, so the changeling goes, "Oh, we have to go through and do this." But if he'd just gone, "Thank you so much, take something from my tower, and you're all good." That's hilarious. Wow. Yeah, man, bro, you have emoji power. Thank you, RD Vand. So what are some amber-themed magic items we should put in here? Right, we've created a fairly contained dungeon section. We've got the main sort of plot is that there's an amber tree in the Feywild. They opened a portal to the Feywild, which ambered them back, which means there's this changeling who wants to go into the portal into the Feywild, and there's the original wizard who did the original thing in the first place. Everything sort of fits within a neat self-contained package. This doesn't require anything on the rest of the hex map. It doesn't expand into anything else. What encounters with the player's face? I think it's just one encounter. I think so. Like we could have there be something else coming out of the portal here. We could also add in, an animated armor. Or a flying sword, etc., while exploring the tower. But I think that's about it. Movable rod? Yeah, we can do it a movable rod. I think we could also get something custom in here if we wanted. Instant tower reflavored as instant treehouse. Yeah. Let's do that. Thoradin's instant treehouse. Like Darren's instant fortress. Amulet of fairy teeth. I've come to take your teeth. Amber sap. Amber flask. Sap grenade. Envelops a creature in the countermeasure gas and turns the amber. Okay. I think components for a sap grenade if we use the crafting stuff. Well, I love your comment there, Boom. Hi. Hi. I think those are two cool ideas. I don't think we need much else. So here it is. Here's a self-contained adventure. It's got one encounter in it. We could add a couple more. Maybe we'll add one more when we write this out. We're not done. This here is an outline. But But notice it is how many words? It is 345. So in clarifying this text, I am not allowed to double it. That would be too much. I'm allowed to add about another 40% to this volume of text that I've got here. And then I've hit my word limit of 650. So if you want to take part in the Dungeon Jam, but you are not a content creator, or even if you are, you can apply to our contest for the Dungeon Mayhem competition, where I'll put a link in chat right now. In this competition, if you want to take part, you can create a dungeon and send it to us here at Mystic Arts. And that dungeon needs to have some kind of map. It doesn't have to be complicated. For this Amber Tower I just did with chat, I do, a handful of circles, go floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, explain a little bit what's in each floor, and that would be about it. It needs to contain no more than 650 words, because that is going to fit on a spread with a bit of art and a bit of layout and stuff like that. Headers, we're not going to be able to fit much more. That's 650 words. If you're inventing a stat block, that has to be included. And has to have something that makes it self-contained and unique. So our Amber Tower, Wizard Tower with Amber, goes to another plane. Like that immediately becomes just sort of a holistic, like a whole thing. You know what I mean? And whoever wins for these 5 dungeons that we're going to do 5 dungeons, so there are 5 prizes to be won. The dungeons are Naiad's Rest, Brewing Cabin, Grim Root, Abandoned Mine, and The Library. And whoever wins each of those dungeons gets a prize. The prize is a year of Mystic Experts on the Mystic Arts Patreon. A 1-hour meeting with me on Discord or something, where we're going to talk about whatever you want, be it DMing, game design, feedback on something you've created, advice for how to run your campaign, advice for how to start a YouTube channel, anything you want. And you are going to own the rights to this dungeon, and you are going to give us a license to use it in our products. And we, in return, are going to commission a piece of art and make a map that you will be able to use in your version of this product as well. If you want to put it up on DM's Guild, or make a video about it, or whatever, give it away for free, that's all up to you. You will own that as well. We just want to be able to put it into this magazine we're working on. The deadline is May 4th, like Selka just said in chat. And then it'll all be packaged together into the Crown of the Fungal Queen, which will come out as a big PDF starter adventure for level 1 to 3 or 5 or something like that. And that'll include 16 dungeons as a part of Dungeon Mayhem. We'll be doing lots of dungeons in May, because I love dungeons, and I need everybody to love dungeons as much as I love dungeons. Wait, do the words in the stat block count towards the 650? Or is just the outline 650 and can include custom stat blocks if you make them? If you make a new stat block, it counts against the 650 word limit. In fact, it may even be that if you make a big stat block, I won't be able to fit it on the spread without cutting stuff. Like, you can't fit all that much on a letter size spread. So I would recommend you use stat blocks that exist in the SRD. If you're referencing stat blocks that are not in the SRD, I can't use them. And if you're thinking about like what power level it should be, aim for like a party of 4 to 5 third level characters. But if it's a little up or a little down, that's probably alright. It's going to be the player's choice to go there because it is a standalone dungeon. I think that's everything. Submission deadline is May 4th. We'll go over the winners a couple of weeks after that. And introduce you all to all the new content. So I hope if this is interesting to you, the content is... of course, this is entirely optional. I'm not assigning you homework you have to do. I'm not actually your teacher. I'm maybe just your personal trainer. No, never mind that. Well, I think it's going to be it for tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. As you know, this channel is run by me and my girlfriend. AB, you want to wave hi? AB says hi. And if you're feeling supportive, you want to support what we do here at the channel, I want you to know that we put a lot of work into our broadsheet. This here is the broadsheet. It's got, adventures in it. Adventures you can drop right into your campaign. Each issue also comes with a burrow, which has a bunch of features for that part of the city. including adventure seeds, usually like 12 of them, that you can expand into a whole campaign set in Atroxia, in my campaign setting. It's also got stat blocks and monsters and magic items, mundane marvels, which are like magic items but mundane. And also on the Patreon, you're going to be able to find stuff like bonus videos, Dadi's Diaries, Game Tales, and if you support at our new tiers, the Journeyman or Mystic Expert tiers, you're going to get access to early previews of full unedited actual play episodes for Arclight, which is our actual play show that we'll be releasing on YouTube sometime late this year, but every step of working on it will be available to you if you support us at those early preview tiers. And obviously, if you are a YouTube member, which some of you just got gifted memberships, go attach your Discord account to your YouTube account and come join us on our Discord. This also works if you're any tier of support on the Patreon. But I think that's going to be it for today. So that's where we'll pick it up next time. Thanks so much for watching this video. And if you're feeling especially generous, you might like, comment, share, or subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we release new videos.